Welcome to the Aunt Betty Stories. Good day, dear friends. Today I am going to tell you a story that happened in my life. A story about how a single moment can turn your whole world. Please give this story a like and subscribe to the channel. Your support means so much to me. When people talk about Mother's Day, they often smile. They speak of flowers, laughter, and long lunches with family. But for me, that day used to arrive like a quiet storm, soft at first, then heavy with silence. Every year I would wake up early, hoping for a call, a message, maybe even a visit. I'd prepare tea, brush my hair neatly, and sit by the window pretending I wasn't waiting. But I always was. The village would be filled with music and chatter, the sound of cars arriving at homes, grandchildren shouting with joy. Yet in my house, there would only be the creak of the ceiling fan and the slow ticking of the clock on the wall. That sound used to echo like a heartbeat I couldn't quiet down. I had 4 children once who used to fight over who would bring me breakfast in bed. They would make burnt toast and spill the tea, and I would laugh until my stomach hurt. But years have a way of stealing small joys quietly. One by one they grew up, left home, and found new worlds to belong to, worlds where I was just a memory. For many years I told myself I was fine. I told myself that distance doesn't mean love is gone, that children forget birthdays and still care deeply. But each passing Mother's Day became harder to believe that. I started to avoid looking at my phone. I would close the curtains before the day even began, because the sunlight made the silence feel louder. Then one year I decided something had to change. I was tired of waiting for a knock that never came. So, I took what little savings I had and bought a small house by the sea. It wasn't much, just a single-story cottage with faded blue walls and a veranda that faced the horizon. But it was mine and it was peaceful. I thought I would spend the rest of my years there, alone but content. Yet life has a strange way of surprising you when your heart has given up hope. Because one bright morning, on another Mother's Day I expected to pass in silence, I heard it. A knock. First I thought I was dreaming, but the sound came again, soft but steady. And when I opened that door, the world I thought I had lost stood right before me. I was born and raised in a small coastal town in Ghana, where the sea was more than water. It was a friend, a witness to everything life carried and took away. My husband, Kweku, was a fisherman, quiet and steady like the tide. We built our home not far from the market road, where you could smell roasted maize in the evenings and hear children laughing long after sunset. We had 4 children, 2 boys and 2 girls. My eldest, Daniel, was always the responsible one, tall and serious, already a little man at 12. Then came Amma, my only daughter, bright and curious, always asking questions I could barely answer. The younger 2, Samuel and Kwame, were my shadows, always running after me with sticky hands and big smiles. Those were the days when the house was full of noise, pots clanging, laughter, arguments about who ate the last mango. Every corner held a story, and I used to think that life would always stay that way. I didn't know then that silence could one day become louder than joy. When my husband passed away, everything shifted. He had been my partner in every sense, not just in raising children but in holding the small pieces of our life together. Losing him felt like the sea itself had turned away from me. I remember sitting by his fishing net after the funeral, running my hands through the coarse rope, wondering how to fill the emptiness he left behind. At first, my children tried to comfort me. Daniel came home from university, promising to check on me often. Amma stayed a few extra weeks, cooking my favorite meals and sweeping the yard, even when I told her to rest. The little ones wrote letters when they could, their handwriting clumsy but full of love. But time has a way of moving faster when you're young. The world calls and they must answer. One by one they left. Daniel got a job in Accra. Amma married a man from Kumasi and started her own family. Samuel and Kwame both went abroad for work, saying it was just for a few years. At first, they would call every week, updates, laughter, the sound of their lives still echoing in mine. Then every week became every month. Then birthdays passed quietly. Then the years just folded into silence. I told myself they were busy, that this is what life does. A mother's heart always tries to forgive distance. But inside, I felt myself shrinking, becoming smaller with every year they stayed away. My neighbors were kind. They would check on me sometimes, bring food during the holidays. But even kindness cannot replace the sound of your child's voice calling you mama. During festivals, I would watch other families from my veranda. Mothers surrounded by children and grandchildren, music playing, hands holding, laughter filling the air. I would smile and wave, pretending I was not jealous of something I used to have. The house became too big for one person. I stopped using the front room. It reminded me too much of family dinners. The photos on the wall faded, Daniel in his graduation robe, Amma with her new baby, the twins on their first day of school. I dusted those frames every Saturday, though I could barely see them clearly anymore. Sometimes I would sit outside under the mango tree and talk to my husband, as if he were still there. I told him about the weather, about how the neighbor's daughter was getting married, about how quiet the nights had become. It made me feel less alone, even if I knew he couldn't answer. Then one year, just before Mother's Day, something in me broke. I woke up and realized I couldn't bear to spend another year waiting for calls that never came, for visits that never happened. I needed to breathe again, even if it meant leaving behind the home that held all my memories. I sold my husband's old boat and a piece of land my father had left me. It wasn't much, but it was enough to buy a small cottage near the coast, about an hour away from the village. The walls were faded, the roof had holes, and the floor creaked when I walked. But I saw something beautiful in it: peace. I spent months fixing it up with the help of a kind carpenter named Joseph. He didn't ask many questions. He just worked quietly, sometimes humming old songs my husband used to sing. Together we repaired the veranda, painted the walls sky blue, and built a small wooden fence around the yard. For the first time in years, I felt like I was building something for myself, not waiting for anyone else to come save me. The sea became my company. Every morning I'd walk barefoot along the shore, feeling the cold waves brush against my ankles. I'd collect shells and line them along my window, one for each of my children. Daniel's was the largest, firm and strong. Amma's was delicate, pink and smooth. The twins' shells were small, almost identical. It was my quiet way of keeping them close, even if they were far away. In the evenings I'd make tea and sit on the veranda, watching the horizon fade into gold. Sometimes I'd see families walking along the beach, mothers holding hands with their children, and my chest would ache. But I learned not to cry every time. The tears eventually became a kind of prayer. The villagers nearby grew used to me. The quiet woman by the sea, they'd call me. They didn't know much about my story, and I didn't offer it. Sometimes they'd bring me fish or help fix a broken latch. In return, I'd give them fruit from my small garden. Life was simple, and in its simplicity I began to heal. Still, Mother's Day never got easier. It remained a wound that healed but never stopped aching. That morning always carried the same silence, heavy and familiar. But that particular year, the one that changed everything, something felt different. The sky was brighter, the sea calmer. I remember waking up with an odd peace, the kind that comes before something big happens, though you don't yet know what. I made myself breakfast, eggs and toast, and opened all the windows to let the breeze in. For the first time, I didn't hide from the day. I let it in. And maybe, just maybe, that was the moment life noticed me again. The days by the sea passed gently, like soft waves touching the shore. I woke each morning to the sound of gulls crying above my roof, to the smell of salt and breeze that always carried memories of home. There was peace in that rhythm, but beneath it, a quiet ache that never fully left me. Some mornings I'd sit with my tea and wonder if Daniel ever thought of me while driving to work, or if Amma still cooked with the same spices I taught her to use. I used to picture Samuel and Kwame walking through foreign streets, hearing songs they didn't understand, but remembering the hum of my lullabies in their hearts. Life became a pattern of remembrance. I would tend to my small garden, a patch of earth where I grew cassava, tomatoes, and hibiscus flowers. Sometimes when I watered the plants, I'd talk to them softly, as if they were my children listening. "Grow well, my little ones," I'd whisper. "Don't forget the one who planted you." The villagers often visited during market days. I became known for my hibiscus tea, sweet, deep red, with a scent that stayed in the air long after it was gone. The women would sit with me and talk about their families, their sons abroad, their daughters-in-law who never called. We shared our quiet wounds in small doses, hidden beneath laughter and stories about stubborn goats or wedding plans. But every time they spoke of their children visiting, I would smile politely and then look away, pretending to stir the tea. My chest would tighten, a dull ache behind my ribs. I had learned to master that smile. The one that says, I'm happy for you, even when your heart feels hollow. Then one afternoon, a young woman from the village, Efua, came running to my house. Her phone in her hand, her eyes bright. Mama Abina, she called. Your daughter. She is on the television. I was startled. Amma, I asked, setting down the basket of fruit I was holding. Yes, she said, nodding eagerly. They are showing her in Accra. She is working in some company, talking about business and family. She looks so beautiful. Efua turned her phone toward me, and there she was, my Amma. Her face was older now, sharper, more confident. She was wearing a smart jacket and smiling in front of a camera. Her voice was calm and proud. For a moment I couldn't breathe. I felt pride and pain twist together inside me. I wanted to reach through the screen to touch her face to say, that's my daughter. But the moment the video ended, Efua smiled and said, you must be so proud. And I nodded with a small smile. When she left, I sat quietly for a long time. I replayed the image in my mind. Amma's voice, her smile, and realized that she had grown into a woman I barely knew. Somewhere between her childhood laughter and that television interview, I had become a stranger in her story. That night I couldn't sleep. The sea was restless, waves crashing harder than usual. I walked out to the veranda, wrapping my shawl around my shoulders. The moon hung low over the water, glowing silver on the waves. I closed my eyes and whispered into the night. Do they remember me, Kweku? Do our children still carry us somewhere in their hearts? The wind answered only with silence. In the days that followed, I tried to shake off that feeling. I told myself that seeing Amma succeed was enough, that a mother's pride should be bigger than her loneliness. But that small glimpse of her life had stirred something in me, a longing I had buried deep. I started writing letters again. First just one to Daniel. I didn't have his new address, so I sent it to his old office, hoping it would somehow find him. In that letter I wrote simply, my dear son, I am well. The sea keeps me company, and the garden is growing. I saw your sister on the television. She looked strong and happy. I hope you are too. Remember to eat well. Mama. I didn't ask him to visit. I didn't ask for anything at all. I just wanted him to know I was still here. Weeks passed, then months. No reply came. The rainy season began. Heavy clouds, long nights, and the smell of wet earth filling the air. I would watch the raindrops slide down the window and wonder if my letter ever reached him. Sometimes I imagined him opening it, smiling a little, setting it aside, promising to call soon. Soon never came. But one morning something strange happened. When I went to check my mailbox by the main road, there was a letter. Not from Daniel, but from a bank. Inside was a small deposit notice with a familiar name. Amma K. Mensa. She had sent money. No message, no note, just the transfer. My hands trembled as I held the paper. I didn't know what to feel. Gratitude? Hurt? Was this her way of remembering me, through numbers instead of words? That night, I placed the paper on my small altar beside my husband's picture. I whispered, at least she thought of me. But my voice broke on the word thought. After that deposit arrived, I began to notice small changes in myself. I no longer hid from the postman the way I used to. I even placed a clean mat by the front steps, just in case another letter came. But the weeks rolled by and the mailbox stayed empty. Still, the idea that one of my children had remembered me, even through money, warmed a corner of my heart that had been cold for too long. Each morning I found new ways to fill the hours. I started mending clothes for the neighbors' children, hemming school uniforms and patching trousers. They paid me little, but I didn't do it for money. I did it for the sound of laughter that followed when they came to collect their clothes, for the shy thank you that reminded me of my own boys long ago. Sometimes when I sewed, I would speak softly to the fabric as though it could carry messages through the threads. Tell them I'm still here, I'd murmur. Tell them Mama's hands still remember how to make things whole. The sea outside my window grew wilder as the months turned. Some evenings the waves rose high, hitting the rocks with force, like anger held too long. I used to think the sea spoke to me in its moods. On quiet days it whispered of peace. On stormy ones it echoed my loneliness. One night the storm was fierce. Wind rattled the shutters, rain drummed on the roof, and thunder rolled over the water like the growl of something ancient. I lit a candle and sat near the door, watching the flame bend in the draft. In that trembling light, I felt the weight of every year I had waited. Every birthday, every Mother's Day, every silent phone. Then a thought came to me. If I were gone tomorrow, who would know? The question stayed with me for days. It was not born of bitterness but of truth. My world had become so small that if I vanished, the sea might be the only witness. That realization frightened me enough to stir a little courage. The next morning I decided to try again, to reach out, not just to be remembered but to remind them that I was still living, still loving. I wrote a second letter, this time to Amma. My dear daughter, I saw your name again in the papers. You must be doing well, and I am proud of you. I have moved closer to the sea. The house is quiet, but it is beautiful. Sometimes I imagine you here sitting beside me drinking tea. The horizon stretches so far it feels like it could touch any place in the world, maybe even where you are. Your brothers used to say the sea listens to everything. If that is true, then perhaps my words will find you through it. With love, Mama. I posted it with steady hands and walked home feeling lighter, as if I had breathed for the first time in years. A few weeks later, a parcel arrived. A box wrapped neatly with printed tape. My heart pounded. I set it on the table and untied the strings slowly, almost afraid the air would disappear if I moved too fast. Inside were a shawl, soft and bright orange, and a small card that read, "Stay warm, Mama." That was all. No address, no signature, but I knew whose handwriting it was. I pressed the shawl to my face. It smelled faintly of perfume, the same kind Amma used to steal from me when she was younger. The fabric carried the weight of 1,000 unsaid words. I miss you, I'm sorry, I remember. From that day, I began wearing the shawl every evening. The villagers teased me about it, saying it made me look like a queen. Maybe in some small way it did. It reminded me that I had once been someone's entire world. But love, when starved for too long, becomes fragile. Even kindness starts to feel like a reminder of what's missing. After the parcel, months passed again with silence. I told myself to be grateful, yet the ache returned, quiet but persistent, like the hum of waves in the distance. I remember one dawn clearly. The sky was pale, the air heavy with salt. I sat on the veranda, wrapped in Amma's shawl, and realized how close I had come to disappearing quietly. No fuss, no farewell. The thought broke me open. I began to cry, not from pain but from a yearning so deep it felt older than my bones. When the fever passed, I made a promise to myself. If another Mother's Day comes and I am still alone, I will let go of waiting. I would live simply, plant new flowers, feed the stray cat that had taken to sleeping by my door, and let the tide take the rest of my longing. So, as the next May approached, I told myself it would be just another Sunday. I swept the veranda, cooked a little stew, and planned to walk by the shore. I didn't expect anything. I didn't even hope. But life has a quiet sense of timing. It waits until your hands are steady again, until your tears have dried, and then it knocks. That Mother's Day morning came soft and gold. The light slipped through the curtains like gentle hands, touching everything in my small home with warmth. I remember standing at the window, holding my cup of tea, and feeling a strange stillness in the air. Not heavy like the other years, but almost expectant, like the sea was holding its breath. I had promised myself not to count the hours, not to measure the day by who remembered and who did not. So I kept busy. I cleaned the veranda, swept away the sand that had gathered near the steps, and watered my plants. The hibiscus were blooming bright red, each petal open wide as if refusing to hide. I admired their courage. I thought of my own children at that age. Daniel trying to build sandcastles that the waves always swallowed, Amma collecting shells and insisting each one was a treasure, the twins chasing each other until they tumbled into the water. Those memories drifted around me like the tide itself, here for a moment, then slipping away again. By the time I returned home, the sun was beginning to sink. I lit a small lamp and made myself some rice and stew. I sat on the veranda, watching the sky turn the color of ripe mangoes. It was beautiful, the kind of evening that made you feel both full and empty at once. I whispered to the wind, "Another Mother's Day done," and smiled softly. It was a smile that held peace, or maybe surrender. Then, as I was clearing the dishes, I heard something unusual, the distant hum of a car. Very few vehicles came down our road. The path was narrow and often muddy from sea air. I paused, listening. The sound grew louder, then slowed near my gate. My heart began to thump, slow and deep. Headlights swept across my yard, scattering light over the hibiscus. For a second, I thought it must be a stranger asking for directions. But then the engine stopped and I heard voices, one deep, one soft, one laughing nervously. I froze. My hand still held the dish towel. Then came the sound I had dreamed of and dreaded all at once. A knock. 3 slow taps on the wooden door. For a moment I couldn't move. My breath caught somewhere between my throat and my heart. The towel slipped from my fingers and fell to the floor. I stood there, trembling. Another knock. This time firmer. My feet seemed to find their own way. I reached the door and rested my hand on the handle, afraid that if I opened it, the dream would vanish. I counted the seconds. And then I opened it. The first thing I saw was the glow of the headlights behind them, turning the air golden. Then I saw faces, older, changed, but achingly familiar. Daniel stood there, tall as his father once was. Beside him, Amma, her eyes shining even in the dim light. And just behind them, the twins, Samuel and Kwame, grinning like boys who had come home from school after a long absence. For a heartbeat, none of us spoke. The only sound was the sea murmuring behind the house. Then Amma stepped forward and whispered, "Mama." That single word, so simple, so small, cracked something open inside me. I wanted to speak, but no words came. Instead, tears rose, soft and unstoppable. I lifted my hands as if to touch them, to be sure they were real. Daniel took a step closer. "We didn't call," he said quietly. "We wanted to surprise you." I nodded, still speechless. My heart felt too full to hold anything more. They came inside, bringing the scent of travel and city air with them. The small house that had known only silence suddenly felt alive again. Voices overlapping, laughter echoing off the walls. Amma set a basket on the table, filled with fruits, biscuits, and a folded envelope. Samuel walked around, touching the seashells on my windowsill. "You kept them, Mama," he said softly. I looked at him through my tears and managed to answer. "I kept everything." For hours we sat and talked, or rather they talked and I listened, drinking in their voices like medicine. They told me about their lives, about jobs and families and mistakes. Daniel had 2 children now. Amma was running her own business. The twins had saved enough to start one together. But between the stories, there were small silences, the kind that carry apology without words. They looked around the little cottage, saw the simplicity, the repaired walls, the single chair by the window, and I could feel the weight of their realization. Mama lived here all alone. I didn't blame them. I couldn't. Life has a way of swallowing people whole. We think we will call tomorrow, visit next month, right when things calm down. But years pass before we notice how far we've drifted. As the night deepened, I made them tea, hibiscus, sweet and red, the way they liked it as children. When I set the cups down, Amma's eyes filled. She reached for my hand and whispered, "We should have come sooner." I squeezed her fingers gently. "You came," I said. "That's enough." The clock ticked softly in the corner. Outside, the waves were calm again, as though the sea itself was listening. For the first time in many years, I wasn't afraid of the silence. It no longer felt empty, felt whole. The night settled softly around the house, wrapping us in a gentle hush that only the sea could bring. The children had eaten, laughter lingering like a faint echo, but their presence kept my heart beating fast, alive with a mix of joy and disbelief. I sat on the veranda, still wearing Amma's orange shawl, watching them move inside as shadows against the warm light of the cottage. It was strange, this feeling, one I hadn't experienced in years. It wasn't just happiness. It was a quiet, fragile astonishment that they had come, that they were really here. My hands, which had trembled for so long with anticipation, now rested calmly in my lap. I thought of the long years, the silent mornings, the unanswered letters, the empty rooms. And yet now in one evening, all that distance seemed to shrink, as if it had never existed. But even in joy, there were threads of tension, subtle things that reminded me of the life we had once shared, but somehow lost along the way. Daniel's hands brushed against a chair too quickly, as though he was afraid of leaving marks. Amma looked at the framed photographs and then quickly away, her eyes betraying a memory she didn't dare voice. Samuel and Kwame, usually so carefree, were quiet at times, sitting stiffly, hesitant in their movements. I reminded myself, patience. Let them settle. Let the years fall away one by one. I poured another cup of hibiscus tea and carried it inside. "Drink," I said softly. They accepted, smiling faintly. I could feel their hearts catching up to mine, trying to remember the rhythm we once had. We sat around the small table, the tea steaming between us, the night pressing close, and for hours the conversations unfolded slowly. They spoke of accomplishments, of mistakes, of regrets. Daniel told me about a job he had turned down, a choice that still weighed on him. Amma spoke of the challenges of running a business while raising children. Samuel admitted to feeling guilty for not calling more often, and Kwame confessed that he sometimes thought about me every day but didn't know how to reach out. I listened, absorbing each word, letting the emotions flow in and out. My heart felt like a tide, rising and falling with every confession, every laugh, every tear that threatened to spill over. It wasn't anger I felt, not at all, only a deep, tender understanding of how lives grow apart and sometimes painfully grow back together. After the tea, I showed them around the house. The rooms were small, but I had filled them with the little things I held onto from our years together. A blanket Daniel had used as a child, a set of tiny cups Amma once carried in her hands, photos of Samuel and Kwame's first day at school. They ran their fingers over the objects gently, as though touching memories could bridge the years. When we reached the veranda, they all paused. The sea stretched before us, calm and reflective under the moonlight. I could feel the weight of their realization, the years they had missed, the quiet evenings they had not shared. I didn't need them to apologize. I simply wanted them to see the life I had lived in their absence, the love that had never faltered. And slowly it happened. The tension began to dissolve. Daniel laughed softly at a memory he remembered wrongly. Amma corrected him with a smile, and the twins whispered jokes that made us all smile. The shadows of the past were still there, yes, but they were no longer heavy. They were memories, now part of the story we would continue together. Before they left that night, I wrapped my arms around them one by one. I could feel the warmth returning to their bodies, the long years of distance melting into this single embrace. "I am proud of all of you," I whispered, my voice steady though my eyes filled with tears. Daniel hugged me tightly. "We're proud of you too, Mama," he said. His words were simple, but they carried years of longing, regret, and love all at once. Amma, standing beside him, brushed a strand of hair from my face. "We should have come sooner," she murmured. I shook my head softly. "You're here now. That's what matters." That night, as they slept in the small spare rooms, I sat by the window and looked at the sea. The waves were gentle, reflecting the moonlight like scattered silver coins. I felt a profound sense of peace, a feeling I had not known for years. My heart, though still tender, had begun to heal. The reunion had not erased the past, but it had reminded me that love endures, even through silence and distance. The house that had once known only quiet now held laughter, whispers, and warmth. And in that quiet realization, I understood something I had almost forgotten. Sometimes, life waits for the right moment to give us what we need. Sometimes, hope, no matter how long deferred, finds its way to the shore. I knew as I closed my eyes that night that the hardest part of waiting had passed. My children had remembered me, and in their remembering, they had returned not just to my house, but to my heart. And the sea, constant and eternal, seemed to agree. The morning after their arrival, I woke before the sun. The light had not yet touched the sea, and the air was crisp with a hint of salt. I dressed slowly, carefully, as though the day itself demanded reverence. Today felt different, heavy with unspoken things, yet bright with possibility. I stepped onto the veranda, holding my cup of hibiscus tea, and watched the horizon. The waves lapped gently at the shore, but there was a tension in the air, like the sea was holding back something it longed to release. I thought of the letters, the parcel, the long years of waiting. My heart trembled at the thought of speaking, of asking the questions I had carried alone. Daniel emerged first, rubbing his eyes and yawning. He had changed in subtle ways, his shoulders a little broader, his face lined with responsibility. But when he saw me on the veranda, his gaze softened instantly. Amma appeared behind him, her steps quiet but deliberate. Even the twins, who had been laughing the night before, moved with a new seriousness, sensing the weight of what this day might bring. We did not speak at first. We moved around the house, tidying, opening shutters, letting light spill into every corner. In silence, the house itself seemed to breathe, and I felt the presence of my husband, Kweku, in every corner, as though he too were witnessing this reunion. Finally, we gathered at the table. I poured tea, hands steady now, heart steady, yet alive with anticipation. I watched them as they drank, the way Amma's eyes lingered on the horizon, the way Daniel's fingers fiddled with the cup, the twins exchanging quiet glances. Each movement spoke volumes of what they had withheld. Regret, hesitation, love. I took a deep breath. I want to tell you something. I began, my voice soft. I have waited for this day for a long time. But there are things you should know. Things I never told you while you were away. They turned toward me, attentive but patient. Daniel leaned forward slightly. Mama, we didn't realize. We thought distance would make things easier, not knowing how much it hurt you. Amma nodded, her eyes glistening. We never meant to hurt you, she whispered. Every day we thought of you, but somehow we didn't reach out. I don't know why we were so afraid of the silence between us. The twins exchanged a look. Then Kwame spoke, voice trembling. Mama, sometimes we thought we were doing the right thing by not intruding. But it feels like we only made it worse. I shook my head gently. No, I said softly. You didn't make it worse. Life simply unfolded the way it had to. But now we are here, and that is what matters. Today we can begin again together. A silence fell over us, not awkward but heavy with emotion. Each of us was processing the years apart, the unspoken words, the grief of absence, and the fragile joy of reunion. I could see my children beginning to understand what I had endured, and I felt a quiet pride in their eyes, pride mixed with remorse, recognition, and love. Then Amma reached into her bag and pulled out a small stack of letters she had written but never sent. Mama, she said, voice breaking, I wrote these while we were away. I wanted to send them, but I didn't know how. I took the letters, hands trembling, and began to read. Each one carried her thoughts, fears, joys, and regrets. There were apologies woven delicately between memories, expressions of love carefully hidden for years. The words pierced my heart with a mixture of sorrow and delight. Daniel watched me silently. Samuel and Kwame hovered close, their shoulders leaning in as if to support me through the flood of feelings. For the first time in a long while, I felt the fullness of my family around me, not just in presence but in spirit. I folded the letters carefully. Thank you, I said, voice trembling. This is the greatest gift you could give me. Your heart's written down, finally here. Then, unexpectedly, Daniel reached into his pocket and pulled out a small object. A seashell, polished and smooth. Mama, he said, I found this on our last visit to the coast. I thought you'd like it, to remember us even when we're away. I took the shell, pressed it to my lips, and then held it close to my chest. The years of waiting, of silence, of absence, felt less like a burden now. The pieces were coming together, slowly, carefully, tenderly. After the letters and the small gifts, a quiet understanding settled over us. It wasn't loud or dramatic, it was gentle, like the way the tide rolls in and reshapes the shore. But beneath that calm, there was a current of emotions waiting to surface, years of longing, guilt, and unspoken love. I watched my children carefully. Amma sat beside me, tracing the edge of her shawl with trembling fingers, her gaze fixed on the horizon outside the window. Daniel leaned back in his chair, hands clasped, as though bracing himself for words he hadn't spoken in a long time. Samuel and Kwame, once full of laughter and careless energy, were now quiet, their eyes reflecting the weight of understanding. I took a deep breath. There is one more thing, I said softly. Something I never told any of you. Something that has stayed in my heart all these years. They leaned forward. My words had the gravity of a confession, though they were not heavy with blame, only honesty. When your father passed, I continued, I thought I would never be able to keep the house, the garden, the life we had built. I worried I had failed you as a mother, not just in keeping things together but in being enough. I wondered if the years you spent away were my fault, if my choices made it harder for you to come back. Daniel's hand brushed mine. Mama, no, he said gently. It was never your fault. Life just happened. We were young and we didn't know how to navigate it. But we always carried you with us. Amma's lips quivered. We did, she whispered. Even when we couldn't reach out, we thought of you every day. Every birthday, every Mother's Day. We missed you more than we could say. I nodded slowly. And I missed you too. Every day. I tried not to let it hurt me, to keep going, to build a small peace for myself. But the truth is, I was lonely. And sometimes I cried in silence, wishing you would come home. A long pause followed. None of us spoke, but the silence was not empty. It was filled with all the words we had missed over the years, all the apologies that had not been voiced, and all the love that had never faltered. Then Samuel spoke, voice low but firm. Mama, we were scared. We didn't want to intrude. We thought you were fine living your quiet life. But now we see we should have been braver. We should have come back sooner. Kwame nodded in agreement. We wanted to surprise you, but we didn't realize how much you needed us. I am sorry, Mama. Truly sorry. I reached across the table, holding each of their hands in turn. You are here now, I said, my voice steady but tender. That is all that matters. We have the rest of our lives to make up for what we lost. Amma's eyes filled with tears. We don't just want to make up, she said. We want to start anew. To really be a family again, Mama. If you'll let us. I smiled through my own tears. You already are, I said softly. Nothing can take that away, not time, not distance. We can begin again today. For the next hours we sat together, sharing stories from the years apart. Daniel spoke of his work and the pressure he had felt abroad. Amma told us about her children, their milestones and mischief, and how often she wished we could have been there. The twins spoke of their travels and the moments when they had thought of home. Each confession, each memory built a bridge across the years, one word at a time. Then something remarkable happened. Daniel reached into his pocket and pulled out a small photo. The four of them as children, standing barefoot on the beach near our old village. I carried this with me, he said softly. Everywhere I went. It reminded me where I came from. And it reminded me of you, Mama. I took the photo, my hands shaking. The faces looked younger, innocent, and full of trust. I pressed it to my chest, feeling the warmth of years fold into that single moment. Amma, unable to stay still, leaned against me. Mama, we are here, she whispered. We won't leave again. I held her close, then looked at Daniel, Samuel, and Kwame in turn. I believe you, I said. And I have waited my whole life to hear those words. The evening sunlight poured into the room, casting long shadows on the walls. It was as if the house itself was celebrating with us. The veranda, the garden, the sea outside, all witnesses to a family rediscovered. For the first time in decades, I felt the fullness of being a mother again. Not in memory, not in letters or parcels, but here, alive and present, holding the hands of the children I had raised, and who had finally returned to me. The night fell gently, carrying a promise of tomorrow. And though the path ahead would still hold challenges, apologies left unsaid, distance to overcome, lives to weave together, the hardest step had been taken. We had looked into each other's eyes, acknowledged the past, and embraced the possibility of a shared future. And in that quiet, beautiful acceptance, I realized, sometimes the longest journeys lead to the sweetest reunions. By the next morning, the house felt alive in a way I had almost forgotten. The small kitchen smelled of breakfast, eggs frying, bread toasting, coffee brewing, and the sounds of my children moving about were comforting, familiar, and yet new. I watched them quietly from the veranda, seeing their faces illuminated by sunlight, their gestures natural, free, and unguarded. Amma came out first, holding 2 cups of coffee. She handed me one and smiled. Mama, she said softly, this is how it should have always been, mornings like this together. I nodded, my eyes brimming. Yes, I said. It is how it should have been. But life is patient in its own way. It waits until we are ready to see what matters most. The twins emerged, laughing and teasing one another, and Daniel appeared behind them, carrying a basket of fruit. There was a rhythm to their movements, the same rhythm we once had, now rediscovered. It felt as though time itself had paused and allowed us to step back into the warmth of family, even after all the years apart. We settled at the table for breakfast, and the conversation flowed, gentle at first, cautious, then gradually unguarded. Samuel spoke of his work abroad, of the loneliness he had felt in cities that were bright but never home. I thought I was doing well, he said, but everything felt hollow without you. Daniel nodded. I tried to be strong for everyone, Mama, he said. But I realized that strength without family is just an illusion. I listened, absorbing their confessions, and felt the ache of the years melt into understanding. Each word, each memory, each admission was a thread in the tapestry of our renewed bond. The house, too, seemed to recognize it. The walls holding echoes of laughter once lost, the floorboards creaking under the weight of reunion, the veranda catching sunlight in a way that mirrored our warmth. Amma reached for my hand again. "Mama," she said, "we should have called, we should have come home sooner. Every day we didn't, I felt it here." She placed a hand over her chest. "A little piece missing." I smiled gently, brushing her fingers with my own. "I never wanted you to feel guilty," I said. "Life took us in different directions. What matters is that you are here now, and that we can be together from this day onward." The twins exchanged glances. Then Kwame spoke softly. "Mama, I've missed so much. But seeing you like this, I realize it's not too late. We can start again." That morning, small acts of care and attention marked our reunion. Daniel carried water from the well and helped me water the garden. Amma tidied the veranda, arranging cushions and folding the orange shawl she had sent me over the back of my chair. Samuel and Kwame collected firewood for the evening meal, joking quietly among themselves, bringing the lightness of youth back into the house. As the sun climbed higher, the conversation turned to memories, playful recollections of their childhood, small arguments, birthday surprises, times when I had scolded or hugged them too tightly. We laughed, sometimes quietly, sometimes with full-body joy that made the walls of the house resonate with life once again. Then came a moment of reflection, when all 4 children sat around me and asked questions about my years alone. I spoke of the days I spent walking along the beach, of the garden I tended, of the letters I wrote that never arrived. I told them of the nights I had cried silently, longing for their voices, their laughter, their presence. They listened silently, their eyes wide, absorbing the reality of the years they had missed. I could see the remorse and love in their faces, 2 emotions so intertwined it was impossible to separate them. They reached across the table, taking my hands, squeezing gently, as if to reassure me that I was no longer alone. Amma finally whispered, "Mama, we want to know everything. Every story you never told us. Every moment we weren't there." I nodded, feeling a wave of emotion I could hardly contain. "I will tell you everything," I said, my voice steady. "Every joy, every sorrow, every quiet day I spent waiting for you. And you can tell me about your lives too. We can fill in the gaps together." The day unfolded like a river, flowing slowly yet steadily toward healing. Outside, the sea mirrored our emotions, calm, reflective, endlessly patient. Waves lapped gently at the shore, as if celebrating our reunion in its own quiet language. By evening, we prepared a small meal together. Daniel carried fish from the market nearby, Amma chopped vegetables, and the twins set the table with careful hands. I felt the profound joy of being surrounded by my children, not just in body but in spirit. Each one a reflection of the years I had nurtured and the love I had held steady. When the meal was ready, we sat together and shared the food, each bite a testament to the endurance of love across time and distance. The conversation flowed freely, sometimes pausing in comfortable silences, sometimes bursting into laughter. For the first time in years, I felt the fullness of family. Not perfect, not without past wounds, but real, present, and alive. As the night settled, we moved to the veranda with cups of tea. Amma rested her head on my shoulder, Daniel beside us, the twins leaning against one another, all of us watching the moon reflect on the waves. There was a stillness that carried everything we had said and everything we had yet to say. And in that quiet moment, I understood fully. The reunion had not erased the past, but it had transformed it. The years of absence had become part of the story we now shared. A story of love, patience, and the unyielding bond between a mother and her children. As night fully settled, the house hummed softly with warmth, the kind that comes from people rediscovering one another. I watched my children move about the small rooms, Amma folding the orange shawl carefully and placing it on the chair I had always used, Daniel stacking firewood neatly, the twins laughing quietly as they recounted memories from years ago. I felt a swell of pride, but it was tempered by a tender ache. The years lost could never return. The birthdays, the illnesses, the quiet evenings we had missed together. They were gone. But standing here, surrounded by my children, I realized that presence now was more powerful than absence ever was. It held the weight of healing, forgiveness, and love. Amma came to me and rested her hand over mine. "Mama," she said softly, We want to be part of your life again, truly. Not just visiting, but living it with you. Will you let us? I smiled, a warmth spreading through my chest. You are already part of my life, I said. You never left my heart, even when you were far away. But yes, let's live these days together, fully, so that what was missing may finally be filled. Daniel joined us, placing his hand on my shoulder. Mama, we know we can't undo the years we were absent, but we want to make up for them. We want to learn from you, laugh with you, and carry the family forward as you always dreamed. The twins leaned in close, their voices soft but sincere. Mama, it's been too long. We don't want to waste another day. In that moment, I felt the full weight of my journey. The loneliness, the waiting, the letters, the parcels, the walks by the sea, the whispers to the wind, all leading to this instant. I could feel their love surrounding me like a tide, steady, encompassing, impossible to resist. We spent the rest of the night talking, sharing stories, laughing and crying together. Each confession, each memory, each apology woven into the conversation became a thread, binding us closer than we had ever been. The house seemed to breathe with us, walls filled with light, the air thick with warmth and the scent of the sea. At one point, Amma brought out a small box she had carried with her. Mama, we want you to have this, she said. Inside were keepsakes from their lives, small toys from their childhood, photographs from school, little trinkets they had collected. We wanted you to have pieces of our lives, she said, her eyes glistening. I held each item gently, pressing them to my heart. I have never stopped being part of your lives, I said. Even when we were apart, I carried you with me every day. Now we can carry each other together. Later, we moved outside onto the veranda, cups of hibiscus tea in hand. The sea stretched endlessly before us, silver under the moonlight, reflecting our emotions. We sat in silence for a while, simply breathing, feeling being together. Then Amma broke the quiet. Mama, she whispered, I want to hear more about your life while we were away. The small joys, the quiet moments, everything. I smiled, feeling a sense of purpose that I hadn't known in years. There is much to tell, I said softly, and I will tell you everything. You may have missed the years, but together, we can fill the days ahead with stories, laughter, and love. We can start anew. Daniel reached for my hand, the twins joining, and Amma resting her head on my shoulder. In that moment, the distance of years dissolved completely. I felt the unspoken words between us. Forgiveness, regret, love, and hope fold into one another. For the first time in decades, I felt fully present, fully alive, fully embraced by my family. The reunion was no longer just about seeing them again. It was about connecting with their hearts, being heard, and hearing them in return. And then, as the waves lapped quietly against the shore, I realized the depth of what had happened. Life had given us a second chance. It had shown that even after years of absence, love remained steadfast, waiting for the right moment to return, to heal and to flourish. We stayed on the veranda long into the night, talking, laughing softly, and simply existing together. The stars above reflected the quiet beauty of the moment, the constellations steady witnesses to a family rediscovered. I held each of my children's hands in turn, feeling their warmth, their life, their love, and I knew nothing could ever break this bond again. And in the soft hush of that night, as the sea whispered endlessly, I understood fully. The hardest part of waiting was over. The reunion had come, fragile yet real, and from it, a new chapter of love, understanding, and togetherness had begun. The morning after their arrival, the house felt alive in ways it hadn't for years. Sunlight poured through the windows, painting the walls with warm gold, and the faint scent of salt from the sea lingered in the air. I rose early, carrying my cup of hibiscus tea onto the veranda, and took a deep breath. The world felt different, not because it had changed, but because we had. My children had already begun to move through the house with a quiet energy, tidying, arranging, laughing softly. Amma brought me a small plate of breakfast, freshly baked bread with honey, and placed it beside my cup. Mama, she said, voice gentle, we want to be part of your mornings now, every day if you'll let us. I smiled, tears forming but not spilling. You are always part of my mornings, I said. Even when you were away, I woke with you in my heart. Now we can share the day fully together. Daniel appeared from the kitchen, carrying a basket of freshly washed vegetables. "Mama, we can help with the garden today," he said. "It's time this place blooms even more, for all of us." The twins laughed, teasing one another as they offered to help set the table for breakfast. The house, which had once been quiet, was now filled with movement, warmth, and a rhythm that reminded me of our earliest days together. We sat down together at the small wooden table, enjoying the simple meal, and talked about the plans for the days ahead. I learned more about their lives, the challenges they had faced, the small victories they had celebrated alone. And in turn, I shared my own experiences. Quiet moments by the sea, evenings of reflection, the little joys that had kept me steady during years of absence. Through these conversations, I realized how much we had all grown. The children I had raised were now adults with their own lives, their own struggles and triumphs, but in every story they told, I heard echoes of the love and guidance we had shared. And I felt my heart expand with pride, gratitude, and a renewed sense of purpose. Amma asked if she could help me in the garden. Together we dug, planted, and watered, the sun warming our backs and the soil grounding our spirits. We spoke of memories, of sandcastles built on distant beaches, of laughter echoing through small rooms, of moments too small to remember but too important to forget. Daniel helped me repair a broken section of the veranda, his hands strong and steady, while the twins gathered flowers and placed them in vases around the house. Each small act of care, each shared task was a thread weaving us closer together. The home, once quiet and solitary, was now alive with love, attention, and gentle laughter. By the afternoon, we rested in the shade of the veranda, sipping tea and listening to the waves. Amma leaned her head against my shoulder, Daniel beside us, the twins stretching their legs lazily. "Mama," Amma whispered, "we feel like we've come home for real this time." I nodded, my heart full. "You have," I said softly. "And from this day forward, we will continue to grow together, not as children and mother, but as a family who knows what it means to love, forgive, and heal." The day ended with a quiet meal, prepared together, shared under the soft glow of lanterns. We spoke of dreams for the future, hopes for visits, holidays, and shared moments that could now be planned with love rather than longing. The house seemed to hum with contentment, each corner touched by the warmth of reconciliation and renewed bonds. As night fell, we gathered once more on the veranda. The moon rose slowly, casting silver light across the sea. I held each of my children's hands, feeling the pulse of their lives intertwining with mine. The wind carried the scent of the ocean, the garden, and home, all of it together. And in that quiet night I realized, the reunion was not a single moment but the beginning of a life rebuilt. We had stepped beyond the years of absence and misunderstanding into a space where love could thrive without fear, hesitation, or regret. The next few days passed like gentle waves, each one bringing a new layer of closeness and understanding. Mornings were soft and quiet at first, with tea on the veranda and the sun spilling light over the sea. I watched my children move through the house with ease, laughing softly at small memories, teasing one another in ways that reminded me of their childhood. Amma began helping me in the kitchen, learning my small tricks and sharing some of her own. We baked bread, stirred soups, and carefully prepared hibiscus tea for everyone. While cooking, she told me stories about her children, their school achievements, and little moments that made her proud. I listened, feeling the connection grow stronger, a bridge from the past into the present. Daniel helped with repairs around the house. Together, we fixed the veranda, polished the wooden floors, and cleared the garden of debris left by storms and time. As we worked, he spoke of the guilt he had carried, of the feeling that he had left me alone for too long. "Mama," he said, voice quiet, "I thought I was doing right by giving space, but I see now that presence matters more than distance." I smiled softly, placing my hand on his. "You are here now," I said, "and that is what counts. We cannot change the past, but we can live fully in the present." The twins busied themselves with smaller tasks, collecting shells from the beach, arranging flowers in vases, and setting the table for meals. They laughed as they worked, their energy infectious, bringing life to every corner of the house. When they paused, they would come to me, sitting close, sharing small jokes, and telling me what they had been thinking about for years. Evenings were filled with stories and reflections. We would sit on the veranda, cups of tea warming our hands, and watch the sea stretch endlessly before us. Sometimes silence fell, comfortable and full, allowing each of us to breathe in the presence of family. At other times, laughter erupted, recalling memories of sandcastles, birthday surprises, or arguments long forgotten but fondly remembered. One evening, Daniel brought out a small photo album he had carried with him. Together, we turned the pages, laughing, reminiscing, and sometimes pausing in quiet reflection. Each photograph held a story, some joyful, some bittersweet, but all of them connected us across time. Amma leaned against me as we looked at pictures of the twins' school days, the messy birthday cakes, and the small village festivals we had once attended. The twins placed their hands on mine, their eyes bright. "Mama, we don't want to miss another moment," Kwame said softly. Samuel nodded, adding, "We want to live here with you sometimes, even if just for a few weeks, to be part of your life fully." Tears rose to my eyes, but they were no longer tears of loneliness. They were tears of love, gratitude, and hope. "You will always be part of my life," I said. "We will create new memories together, and each day will be precious." We spent afternoons exploring the garden, walking along the beach and collecting shells. I told stories about their father, about the small joys of our life before the years of separation, and about the quiet moments I had cherished when I thought of them. Each story was met with curiosity, laughter, or quiet reflection, weaving our hearts closer with every word. Amma suggested we plant a small flower bed near the veranda. Together we dug, planted, and watered, laughing at the soil-stained hands and the stubborn roots. Daniel and the twins helped, and soon, we had a small patch of vibrant colors growing under the sun. It was more than a garden. It was a symbol of what we had rebuilt. Life, growth, and love nurtured together. Evenings were now our most cherished times. We would sit together, sometimes in silence, sometimes sharing dreams, wishes, and hopes for the future. The sea became our constant companion, whispering softly, reflecting the moonlight and our quiet happiness. One night, Amma brought out the letters she had written years ago but never sent. "Mama," she said, "I want you to read them again, so you know how much we always thought of you, even when we couldn't reach out." I read the letters slowly, savoring each word. The love, regret, and longing poured from the pages, reminding me of the years of distance but also of the bond that never broke. Afterward, we sat together, holding hands, letting the past fold gently into the present. Daniel spoke then, softly but firmly. "Mama, we want to make new traditions with you. Celebrations, birthdays, even small daily moments. We want to be here for all of them. We don't want to miss anything again." I smiled through my tears. "We will," I said. "And together we will make each day a memory worth keeping." The twins, playful yet tender, began planning small adventures. Walks along the beach at sunrise, collecting shells, watching the waves, and sometimes just sitting silently, enjoying the sound of the sea and the warmth of family. Every gesture, every word reinforced the truth. Our family had been healed, not by magic, but by presence, understanding, and love. By the end of the week, the house no longer felt like a quiet refuge but a home reborn. Each room, each corner carried laughter, warmth, and the gentle rhythm of lives reunited. We had stepped into a new chapter, one that would carry us forward with shared love, forgiveness, and hope for all the days to come. And that night, as we sat together on the veranda, watching the moonlight dance on the waves, I understood fully. Absence had taught us the value of presence, and reunion had shown us that love, even when delayed, is never lost. Days turned into weeks, and with each passing moment, the house and our hearts grew fuller. Mornings began with quiet routines. Tea on the veranda, the smell of fresh bread, the sound of waves lapping at the shore. But they were no longer solitary moments. My children were here, moving through life alongside me, and their presence turned every small act into shared joy. We established little rituals that reminded us of our renewed bond. Sunday mornings were for breakfast together, each one sharing stories from their lives or memories from the past. Sometimes we walked along the beach in silence, allowing the rhythm of the waves to guide our thoughts and soothe our hearts. Even chores became moments of connection, planting flowers, repairing furniture, or cooking together. Each task carried the weight of love and the lightness of being together again. One afternoon, we gathered in the garden. The flower bed we had planted weeks ago was now blooming, vibrant colors reflecting the care we had poured into it. Amma knelt beside me, brushing soil from her hands. "Mama," she said softly, "it's beautiful, just like this week has been. You, us, the house. Everything feels alive again. I nodded, tears glistening in my eyes. It is alive because we are together, I said. Because we chose to be here, fully present, and to embrace one another without hesitation. Daniel came over then, holding a small wooden box. Inside were mementos from our shared past, photos, letters, and keepsakes he had carried all these years. Mama, he said, we never stopped thinking of you. Even when we were far, our hearts were with you. Now these memories belong to all of us again. We spent the evening sharing those keepsakes, each item carrying a story, a moment, a piece of love once lost but now recovered. Samuel and Kwame laughed as they remembered small mischiefs, and Amma sighed, softly correcting the details. I listened, my heart swelling with gratitude and pride, realizing that the gaps of the past were now bridged by presence, forgiveness, and shared memory. The nights were our quiet sanctuary. Sitting on the veranda watching the silvered waves, we spoke of dreams for the future, visits, celebrations, and the simple joys of daily life. My children's laughter mingled with the soft sounds of the sea, creating a melody I had longed to hear for decades. Even in silence, our bond was palpable, a steady current of love and understanding that connected each of us. One evening, Amma rested her head on my shoulder and whispered, Mama, I've carried so much regret for the years we were apart. But now, sitting here with you, I understand that love never left. We were always connected, even when we were far away. I smiled, pressing her hand gently. Yes, my dear. Love endures. It bends but never breaks. And now we will carry it forward together. The twins chimed in, small voices full of promise. Mama, we want to make new memories every day, Kwame said. We don't want another moment lost. Samuel nodded in agreement. We'll be here with you for everything. Every sunrise, every sunset, every laugh. In those words, I felt the years of waiting dissolve entirely. The sorrow of absence, the quiet ache of lonely days, the unanswered letters. All of it transformed into gratitude for the reunion we had nurtured and the life we were rebuilding together. Evenings became filled with small joys. Cooking together, sharing stories, collecting seashells along the shore, or simply sitting silently in the garden, feeling the soft breeze and listening to the whispers of the sea. Each moment was precious, a reminder that life can give second chances, even after long seasons of separation. And then came a quiet evening, when we all sat together on the veranda, the moon reflecting silver across the waves. I looked at my children, their faces illuminated, their eyes soft with understanding and love, and realized how far we had come. The reunion had not only healed our hearts but had renewed our spirits. I spoke softly, almost to myself, but loud enough for them to hear. The years of waiting, the distance, the silence, they taught me patience, hope, and the strength of love. But being with you now, I understand that love is never truly lost. It waits quietly for the right moment to return, to heal, and to flourish. Daniel reached for my hand. Mama, we've learned that too, he said. And we promise, no more distance, no more absence. We will always be here, together as a family. The twins smiled, resting their heads on our shoulders, and Amma held my hand, eyes shining. The sea whispered endlessly, the stars reflected our joy, and the house, our home, glowed with warmth, laughter, and life. That night, as I closed my eyes, I felt a quiet certainty. The hardest years were behind us. What remained was the love we had rebuilt, the bond we had strengthened, and the memories we would now create together. The reunion had not erased the past, but it had transformed it into something beautiful, lasting, and deeply cherished. And in that stillness, I understood the simple truth I had always known but had forgotten in the quiet years. Love, patience, and forgiveness can endure anything, even time itself. Families may drift, paths may diverge, but hearts that are bound by love will always find their way back to one another. The days following our reunion passed like a gentle tide, carrying with them both quiet reflection and small bursts of joy. Each morning, I awoke to the laughter of my children moving through the house, their voices filling the air with warmth. The sun would rise slowly over the horizon, casting a soft glow across the veranda, and I felt a peace I had long thought lost. We settled into a new rhythm, one that felt natural and healing. Breakfast became a time to share plans for the day. Small errands, walks along the beach, trips to the market, or tending to the garden. Sometimes we would simply sit in silence, sipping hibiscus tea, listening to the waves, feeling the pulse of life flowing between us. I watched my children carefully, noticing the subtle changes. The way Amma's smile lingered a little longer, the soft laughter of the twins as they chased each other across the veranda, the quiet attentiveness in Daniel's eyes as he watched over the little household. One evening I gathered them on the veranda. The sea stretched endlessly before us, its gentle waves mirroring the ebb and flow of our emotions. "My dear children," I began softly, "this year has taught me more than I could have imagined. I have learned that love endures, even when we are apart. I have learned that forgiveness is a quiet, patient strength, and that the heart can heal in ways we never expect." Amma rested her head on my shoulder. "Mama," she said, "we have learned this too. The years we were away, we realize now how much we took for granted. We thought time would make things easier, but it only made us understand how much we needed you." Daniel reached out, holding my hand. "Mama, we can't change the past, but we can choose the future. We will be here, every day, every moment, as much as you want us." The twins smiled softly, leaning in, their voices quiet but sincere. "Mama, we'll be here for everything. Every sunrise, every evening, every little moment we might have missed before. We promise." In that moment, the years of absence, the long months of waiting, and the silent nights of longing seemed to dissolve. The reunion had not erased the past, but it had transformed it into a foundation on which we could rebuild our lives together. We were not the same as before. We had all grown, matured, and changed, but that growth made our connection stronger, richer, and more enduring. We spent the afternoons exploring the small joys of daily life. We walked along the beach, collecting shells and building memories with laughter and shared stories. Amma would tell me about her children, their dreams, their mischief, and small accomplishments. Daniel shared his reflections from years of work abroad, the lessons he had learned, and the moments he had longed to share with us. Samuel and Kwame reminded me, through gentle teasing and quiet observations, that life was best lived fully, in each present moment. Evenings became sacred. We would gather on the veranda with cups of tea, watching the silver light of the moon ripple across the sea. Sometimes silence would settle over us, comfortable and heavy with shared understanding. Other times our voices would fill the air with laughter, stories, and reflections on the journey that had brought us to this place. Each moment became a thread, weaving the fabric of our renewed family life. One afternoon we visited the old village market together. It was a place of nostalgia, full of familiar smells, colors, and faces. My children walked beside me, pointing out familiar vendors, sharing memories of past visits, and noticing how much had changed, yet how much had remained. They listened to stories of their father, of the festivals we had celebrated, of simple days that had carried immense meaning. In that moment I realized that the past and present were no longer in conflict. They were part of a single unfolding story, one that we would continue to write together. Back home we returned to small routines. The garden flourished under our care, each plant a reminder of growth, patience, and nurturing love. The flower beds bloomed with colors that seemed brighter because we tended them together. Meals were shared, laughter abundant, and quiet reflections common. I felt the fullness of motherhood in ways I had almost forgotten. Not in the act of giving alone, but in the mutual exchange of love, presence, and understanding. One night, as the sea whispered beneath the moonlight, I found myself reflecting on the year we had lived. I thought of the days spent waiting, of letters written and never sent, of quiet evenings filled with longing. I thought of my children, their absence, their return, their confessions, and their love. And I understood fully that life's hardest moments often lead to the deepest, most meaningful reunions. Amma leaned against me, her eyes soft with emotion. "Mama," she whispered, "thank you for waiting, for loving us even when we were far, for never giving up on us." I kissed the top of her head. "And thank you for returning, for choosing to be here, to rebuild, to forgive, and to love." Daniel spoke then, his voice calm but full of feeling. "Mama, we will carry this year with us forever. The lessons, the love, the closeness, it will guide us for the rest of our lives." The twins added their voices softly, echoing the sentiment. "Mama, we will never take this for granted again. We will treasure every moment, every word, every shared smile." I smiled through tears, holding each of them close. "And I will treasure you every day for the rest of my life." The years apart have taught us patience and resilience, but now we have each other, fully, and that is more than I ever could have hoped for. In the weeks that followed, our home became a place of laughter, shared stories, and quiet reflection. The reunion had healed old wounds, and our family life, once fragmented, now moved with gentle harmony. We celebrated birthdays, small successes, and simple joys together. We honored the past while embracing the present, and each day felt like a gift, a promise of love and connection sustained through time. And finally, one evening, as we sat on the veranda together, the sea calm and the sky painted with the soft colors of dusk, I realized the truth of what we had achieved. Absence could not diminish love, distance could not sever bonds, and time could not erase the strength of family. Our hearts had been patient, and in their own quiet way, they had guided us back to one another. The children laughed softly as the waves lapped at the shore. Amma rested her head on my shoulder. Daniel held my hand, and the twins leaned close. We watched the moonlight shimmer on the water, each reflection a reminder of the past, the present, and the future we now shared. I whispered softly, almost to myself, but loud enough for them to hear. Love endures. It bends, it waits, it heals. And when we are ready to embrace it, it brings us home. And in that quiet, perfect moment, I understood fully. The hardest years, the distance, and the absence had led to this. A reunion, a family restored, and a life filled with warmth, presence, and enduring love. The year my children finally remembered me had taught me everything I needed to know about patience, hope, and the unbreakable bond of family. And as we sat together, the sea whispering softly, I knew that this was only the beginning of a lifetime of shared mornings, evenings, and memories, together finally at last.